Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, May 22nd, 2013, and this is Day 9 Daily number 590, where we learn to be a better gamer. I have a mug that says donut on it. Oh, I'm fat. So good. In today's daily, guess what? Guess what? We're looking at Liquid TLO. We're going to be watching his games from the WCS EU round of 16, where he plays against Strelok, or Strelok mechs. And TLO hurts the meching player. There's also a bird chirping very loudly outside. Isn't that wonderful? In most fantasy literature, whenever there is some mythical creature singing, it's singing for the sake of otherworldly beauty. But when a bird's singing outside, it's basically saying, "Somebody sleep with me! Anyone else sleep with anybody!" Doesn't that sound familiar? We've all been there. Not gonna knock a bird for doing it, but I'm gonna knock a bird for doing it publicly. At least I say it alone in my room. I have no one, but I'm so good at PvT, my win rate is like 90%. No one! At least I'm not a fucking bird. Can you hear this bird? Can you hear him? I hope you can, because it sounds like someone who's really bad at scratching turntables. I've poured coffee on my genitals. We're gonna take a break. Oh god. We're gonna What a disaster this show is. Okay. Okay, listen, welcome back. God. One of the fastest changes ever. But one thing we don't do is learn, so let's keep drinking from this mug. In this daily, we're going to do all sorts of cool things. Mainly we're going to talk about why it's rough going up against Mech, what the issues of going up against Mech are. So we're going to look at the opening of TLO ZvT. We're going to say things like what our ordinary plan would be, and what signals we're looking for to abandon our anti-bio play and pick up this anti-mech play. Because certainly there are styles of play that are like really good against mech, but it's useless unless... or it's useless just to go down that style, because what if he doesn't mech? Then we're screwed. So our goal is to go down an avenue where if he's going bio, we can continue with an anti-bio play, like Ling Bane Ling Muta, and if we see him going mech, we can switch directions along another side to deal with that. So we'll talk about all that transitional moment, and then we'll get to see some really sweet plays. Ooh, we'll see Swarm Hosts and Ventral Sacks and all that good stuff. We'll be watching 2 games today, and we'll hop right into it. Did want to say Fun Day Monday for next week. Play as Terran in Heart of the Swarm, and then lift off at the start of the game and land somewhere else. And then you can begin. Send those to Monday at day9.tv. This Friday, I'm finishing up Portal 2. Next Friday, I'll be playing Antechamber. Because I hate everything. Let's go into this game. Bow! Watch it pow. Get in the corner. And, good. We're ready to take a show now. We're ready to do it. Alright, cool. Kilo's going to spawn in the bottom right-hand corner of Star Station. I'm pretty sure that in the WCS versions, it is in fact cross positions only. So there's a couple of angles that we need to worry about. Weirdly, this backside is really not a concerning angle. The big questions are, how do we defend the third? If we take a third here, we have to worry about this huge expanse here that can go straight into our natural, that can cut straight on over to here. So we need a nice mobile army to defend this. And of course, we need to have some way to protect and cover vision from here, which is generally most easily accomplished with this thingy. But if an opponent comes in and secures this watchtower and we're Zerg, we're kind of like, yeah, because that immediately makes it a real pain in the ass to hold this and to hold this. So we need this watchtower and this watchtower. Somewhat easy to hold, somewhat hard to hold. So we basically need a super mobile army. Any analysis you do on any map should always be based around a third base. Always. It's the end of the thought, but the camera's still on me. Hello? Let's go back to the game. And here we are. In a very goofy mood today. We'll get through it. Ugh, it's very tasty. So yeah, we need to worry about those sorts of things. Drops are a huge problem because, I mean, drops from this angle are defensible because we can Spore Crawler here and here. But drops from this angle are completely undefensible because look at this huge expanse of space. He can hide back here and actually first drop us from behind. Oh well. So we want to answer questions like how do we stay alive early, how do we stay alive versus bio, how do we stay alive versus 2 racks, fast Hellion, fast Banshee, all these sorts of things. I actually do want to watch it from the TLO cam. So he's going to be coming here. This is somewhat of a dicey spot to be in. I kind of prefer to have a retreat path. The center is an acceptable retreat path. Here is a less than acceptable retreat path. Very often you'll see an Overlord actually. This Overlord players will sometimes cut it to here and then work it up this side and then kind of have it as a monitor for this thing and for any attack path over here. This Overlord is super safe. Speeding it up. So TLO is going to be doing a pretty typical looking build. Hatchery on 15, then builds 2 drones, and then gets a spawning pool that's very, 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 very freaking common on relatively big maps. No reason really not to do this kind of play. Optionally, many players like Snoot, as we saw earlier, will be electing to construct a gas geyser here. However, some players kind of have this debate where they'll say, okay, Sean, at this analysis at the start of the map, you said that this was the most concerning spot. So either we need a really mobile, or we definitely need a really mobile army to deal with this. So I could get fast Zergling speed to help deal with that, but I'd rather get a whole bunch of queens. Really quickly, get 4 queens up swiftly, and as a result be able to manage any attack that comes here by having an unbelievable creep spread. I kind of fall more into the get the Zergling speed up sort of thing, but this build is just excellent. There's nothing wrong / bad about either of them on this map. So TLO gets this gas geyser up at around 25 to 26 is the timing of it. In case you're wondering, because I know who doesn't love numbers. Math, am I right, fellas? And ladies, whoever's watching. Maths and numbers. So yep, there is our additional queen, popping right on Upperoo. Does he get another? I can't actually remember if he gets another queen here. Doesn't really matter so much. The important thing is that his queens are going to be emphasizing creep spread.
Our forces are under attack.
You see me with the pro gamer spacebar button usage. These Zergling movements are surprisingly high percentage against Reaper. Just sending the Zergling straight on out will you'll almost always be able to get cross map. And almost always get at least some useful insight, you know, like hasn't built a bunker, he is going for Marines. If you see no bunker, very often it's going to be a Hellion play. Almost always you're actually going to see a Hellion play, but still, just because most people go Hellions doesn't mean you should assume that they're going Hellions. Alright, cool. We have our correct judgments in mind. TLO's spamming all them drones, getting up all them gases. And again, emphasizing the creep spreadage. You already see one there. So this is a very gradual sort of advancement up the tech tree, but already we see a rather interesting move. Layer before Zergling speed. Certainly a big concern. against things like early attacks. We want to make sure we have enough defense up. But notice some nice signs. No bunker. Okay, we're probably up against Hellion. We saw a Reaper, yet another bit of evidence that would suggest that we're up against Hellion. So we're actually probably going to be fine against early attacks for quite some time. Amazingly, Strelok isn't going Hellion. Aren't you crazed? Aren't you just mind blown by that? This is like the only Terran vs. Zerg I've seen in Haas where there's no Hellions being produced. And yet he is not. Yet there's no Hellion going on. So, alright, we got this cool read. We're pretty sure he's going Hellion. At the very least, it's unlikely that he's going Bio. Just due to the fact that he's... Or I should say, it's unlikely that he flooded a bunch of barracks. Because we'd probably see a bunker follow-up from that. So, in this position, I really like this move from TLO, largely because, remember this analysis we did at the start? This huge area is something of concern. How do we stay alive if we have this gigantic area to defend? No problem, we just get a super fast Spire. And we see all 4 geysers going down. This is a crazy, crazy heavy on the gas and tech. This is just very, very... It's very psychopathic. It's extremely mentally unstable of TLO to have done this. But in short, he's saying, if I can get a Spire up so fast, I don't need to worry about defending this broad region. I'll be bringing the noise back to you. Hellions should start getting scary around 7:30. Marine medevac pressure with those Hellions will start at around 9:30 to 10 minutes. So it's basically like 7, 9, and 10 are the kind of big things we're thinking about here. So we're hoping that our Spire will be done by 10 to be able to deal with those, and we need to have some answer in between the 7 and 10 minute period to be able to deal with those Hellions. So thus far, TLO's doing everything reasonably. Great Zergling speed, not fast. I love that TLO both didn't get Zergling speed and also only has 2 Zerglings, because it's really bad to either not get Zergling speed and get a lot of Zerglings, or get Zergling speed early and then not do anything with it. So TLO has this economy planned out quite well. He's going to be starting his Spire basically at 7 minutes. So this means that it will finish. It takes 100 seconds to build. It'll finish at around 8:40. Mutalisk should be out well before that 9:30 timing, where drops and other scary things could come into play. We're also seeing a gas geyser here. Now, there's every possibility that our opponent could be going for ultra fast bio, or ultra big bio. At this point in time, TLO should be going, wait a frickin' minute, I haven't seen Hellions. I should be seeing Hellions. So we're either up against bio, or maybe a fast Banshee play, or maybe some sort of really passive tech thing. So TLO's just floating right on in. He's gotten no useful information at this point in time. Just sees these 2 building. Right now, we're thinking, okay, I don't know why this is building, unless it has a reactor, and this unless it's building tanks. That's the only thing that really makes sense here. Okay. Do I have sound off? Oh, it's just very quiet. Oh, God, I got terrified. So at this point, when TLO's getting in here, he's identifying that the opponent is defensive and nothing more. It's so easy to be like, oh, yeah, he's doing bomber style, or oh, he's going mech, or whatever. But we don't actually have that information. TLO still has no extra information. Still spreading the creep. Being super on point with all those injects, though. This is where I think it's very reasonable to go Overseer and waltz on in. But at the same time, TLO makes a good read. I see an add-on here. This implies that he's going for economy, especially along with that right there. But then also the fact that we see the siege tank tech coming up means that he's likely going to be passive. We can rely on our Mutalisk to get the information we need while just droning up. If he's going bio, we're going to be playing a standard versus bio game. We'll go double Evo Chamber, get those upgrades, we'll add on a Baneling Nest. Versus Mech, we still have the opportunity to transition out. TLO, though, being super responsible about, excuse me, getting them gases up. So then he does the scout. Oh, the first signs that Mech is coming out. Really, at this point in time, TLO would be able to defend against drops. A drop would be coming right around now-ish with some Hellbats. Like 8:30, it's possible to have those sorts of Hellbat drops be coming up. And then a short 30 seconds later, we're going to have Mutalisks. So, I'm gonna sneeze. Cool. Very cool. Very good. So, yeah. Against Mech, we haven't seen Hellions at the start, which kind of makes us go, Normally, we almost always see Hellions at the start. He could be going for a very fast... actually, let me stop right now. At this, we're about to hit the 9-minute mark. Freeze it right there. What Mech plays are we worried about up to 9 minutes? Well, annoying Hellion harass. That's standard. We see that all the time, and we didn't see it in this game. So what else could it be happening? Widowmine play is another one. We got such a fast layer. I mean, God, we started at like 5:45. An early layer in ZvT is like 6:30 to 7. But I mean, this is really early. So we're definitely going to have Overseers versus Mine, so we can just spot those and pick it off with our Queens. Or Zerglings, or drones, or whatever. The other thing is the Hellbat drops. I'll skip past that and just note, if he's going like Thor push or tank push, he just loses immediately. That's horrific. But the Hellbat drops, there's a window of time where we're kind of like, ugh. But the fact is, if our Terran player devotes to going for super fast Hellbats with super fast drop, he's totally boned in every other regard. Our Mutalisks pop out, we instantly stop the efficiency of any Hellion drops, and he has virtually no defense. So this is one of the reasons why hyper-fast Mutalisk has started to become quite popular, is because, just look at this timing window right now. Alright, 3 Hellbats and 2 tanks from Strelok. His entire meching army is 3 Hellbats and 2 tanks without having done any harass, without having gone for Hellion contained at the front, without having gone for fast drop, just going straight for a mech army. He has 5 things at the 9-minute mark, which is, again, one of the big reasons why this fast Spire play has become popular. It's obviously tried and tested against bio play, and against Mech, it will help us shut down his attack timings, and if he's trying to play passive, he's actually still going to struggle quite a bit. So, alright, neat. TLO says to himself, aha, I know you're going Mech. Nice. And this, I think, is an unusual answer. We don't really see this very much in Infestation Pit. 9 times out of 10, players will just be like, ah, I'm gonna roaches, because, roaches. And they'll just start smassing the roaches, begin getting the +1 attack. But there's a couple things that happen all at once here that I find really interesting. I'll stop again at the 10-minute mark. Because I love repeating myself. Oh god, how good that is. 9-minute mark, there was nothing we could have changed up till now. We wouldn't want to change anything. This setup is great versus bio. And now that we know that we're against Mech, notice the big changes that happened within this minute-long period. The taking of an Infestation Pit, and the snatching up of a 4th. As a teaser trailer for Part 2, I will tell you that Swarm hosts are going to make a big appearance. Yeah, cool. I did the teaser. Swarm hosts are going to make a big appearance and not really roaches. So this is where I'm going to do something a little unusual. Normally I like to front load the discussion of some of the theory of Mech and that sort of thing. But at this point in time, this is where I want to stop and discuss Mech before we break for Part 2. So when we have a meching opponent, what are the units that he has? Hellions, Hellbats, I will distinguish those as 2 different units. Thors, tanks, mines. These are the big 5. Mines, very immobile, not good at being in a lot of places, not like... As a benchmark for what's a mobile unit, a Phoenix is probably the most mobile unit that's out there. So Widow Mine has to burrow and stay in position to be able to attack. You can easily run away from it. Siege Tank has to siege and unsiege. Thor, slow. Hellbats, low range, really slow. Hellions, the only thing that's truly fast. So in other words, as long as we are defended against Hellions, he can't really stop us from expanding. He can do a huge attack and sort of like kill this base and kill that base and kill this one. But never against Mech are we really going, ugh, I don't want to expand for fear that it'll be attacked. If we're against a bio player, it happens all the time. Well, I could expand there, but he has medevacs going every which way. Or, you know, imagine trying to take this base. If you're up against a biomine player, he can sort of like dart in and then like pull back and come down here and start attacking this while doing a drop. Hell, against biomine, you have a hard enough time as it is defending your existing bases, let alone taking new ones. So, especially in the early game, we can expand as much as we want, and there's nothing he can do about it. He can maybe attack later, but right now, no way, not a chance. God, the tip of my nose itches so bad. Oh, God. Ugh. I was doing Eskimo kisses with poison ivy. It's not funny, but it's a cute merger of various things. Alright, discussing Mech. When we go Mutalisks, think about what that does to his composition. Immediately, he's going to be forced to build Thors and turrets. He's going to be focusing less on building Hellbats. Jeez, I can't. This sneeze. God, my nose is so itchy. Urgh. I can do this. Alright, let me tell you about Mech. This is going very well. This is good. I'm glad you showed up live for this. Mech. I'm just gonna scratch the entire break. It's amazing. Alright, cool. So we can expand as much as we like. In terms of what units we should build, it's very easy to say things like or crap, I skipped a step. So we go Mutalisk, he's forced to build Thor, because not only does he need it for defense right now, but whenever he moves out, he's going to need Thors to defend against our Mutalisks. So obviously he's going to be building more Thors, cutting tanks, because you only have so much gases Terran. So he'll still be able to build a reasonable amount of Hellbats in addition to this. So the next follow-up question is going to be, what then, now that we have a Thor-based composition? Typically, Zergs will respond by building a lot of roaches, basically saying, well, if you don't have a lot of tanks, I'll build a lot of roaches. But Hellbats are quite strong in that circumstance. The Swarm Host operates amazingly. Swarm Hosts are really crappy for defending any amount of space. Swarm Hosts are really only good at doing offensive damage. So if we can keep him pinned back, the Swarm Host should logically be very difficult for him to assault. If he tries to move up unsieged, he's making himself quite weak. His Hellbats have range 2, and the only things that really seem amazing against the Swarm Host, which would be the tank and the Thor, are hyper slow. So we can just hit and run with these Swarm Hosts incredibly easily. It's one of those weird logic things where the only issue that we would have is getting to the point where we would have the Swarm Hosts. And that's what's amazing about this very, very fast Spire thing. It will contain our opponent, keep him pinned back, and we'll see the Swarm Hosts really shine amazingly well in Part 2. So stay tuned, Part 2 coming up. On a break.